Here are some of the most powerful words spoken by Jesus in the New Testament. Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. One of the main points of this teaching is to challenge us not to see ourselves as better or more important than others, but to instead be willing to defend the defenseless. And there's no person more defenseless than an innocent child in the womb. That's why no issue reveals the true character of a candidate for public office more than the life issue. It's more than a litmus test. It's a window to the soul. Ronald Reagan once observed that the right to life was the most important God-given right of them all. For if you're not alive, then everything else is sort of meaningless. The right to life cannot be compromised like other issues, because a person can't be 80% alive and 20% dead. Either their right to life was protected, or it wasn't. A candidate that can't be trusted to protect the right to life can't be trusted to protect any of our other God-given rights either. When you look at the voting records of politicians, what you'll find is if they're bad on life, they're always, I repeat always, bad on everything else too. If a politician will rob a fellow person of their right to life, rest assured they'll rob you of your private property rights, religious liberty, and look for new taxes and regulations to rob you of your hard-earned money as well. Liberty isn't safe in the hands of a politician that doesn't hold all life sacred. For anyone that doesn't hold life sacred can't possibly know what true liberty is or where true liberty comes from. Because the spirit of true American liberty comes from the Creator, in whose image we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Recently, an overwhelming number of South Carolina Republicans affirmed that spirit when 79% of them voted to include language to defend the right to life of all persons, both born and unborn, in the state's Constitution. Mirroring language found in the U.S. Constitution, which states that no person shall be denied life, liberty, or property without due process of law. I enthusiastically support that resolution, and as President of the United States, I pledge to you that I will do everything within my power to end the scourge of abortion once and for all. That I will use the full constitutional power and the bully pulpit of the presidency to promote a culture of life. That I will sign any legislation put on my desk to defend the least of these, including legislation that defends the rights of all persons, without exception other than the life of the mother, from conception to natural death. That I will not only defund Planned Parenthood, but I will instruct the Department of Justice to investigate Planned Parenthood and to prosecute any and all criminal conduct, which those videos that we saw from the Center for Medical Progress so powerfully evidenced. Everything I just pledged to you should be an automatic requirement for any prospective president who takes an oath of office before an all-powerful God to preserve, protect, and defend our Constitution. Unfortunately, that's not the case. The Democratic Party is almost entirely beholden to Planned Parenthood and its gruesome interests. And sadly, too many Republicans have gone wobbly when it comes to one of the most important planks in our party's platform as well. Even now, there's a candidate in the race playing games with the sanctity of life. Donald Trump spent most of his adult life prior to this election enthusiastically pro-abortion, even for partial birth abortion, if you can believe it. Now Donald Trump is the only candidate left in the Republican field who won't even pledge to defund Planned Parenthood, which is why Planned Parenthood named Donald Trump their favorite Republican last fall. If there was ever an award that a Republican politician should be ashamed to receive, that's it. Donald Trump claimed that Planned Parenthood does a lot of good beside all the babies they abort and then sell their dismembered body parts for profit. Which is a little bit like saying Hillary Clinton was a great Secretary of State except for the 4 Americans she left behind to die at Benghazi. Only one thing is going to make America great again. And it's the same thing that made America great in the first place. And that's returning to the ideas of the Declaration of Independence that are enshrined in our Constitution, which declares there is a God, our rights come from Him, and not government. And therefore, government's most important obligation is to protect and defend our God-given rights. And chief among them is the right to life. As Thomas Jefferson said, the care of human life and happiness, and not their destruction, is the first and only object of good government. So this Saturday, as you head off to vote in the crucial South Carolina primary, I ask you to consider, who do you trust to protect your God-given rights? Who do you trust to appoint the Supreme Court justices who will be the critical deciding votes to finally overturn Roe v. Wade? There can be no more powerful statement about the sanctity of life than this. The first person to ever recognize Jesus Christ was his cousin John the Baptist, then himself an unborn child in the womb. Thank you.